Tottenham Hotspur are weighing up a permanent departure for Alejo Veliz, a striker once publicly likened to Luis Suarez by Lionel Messi, as doubts grow over his long-term future in North London. According to The Athletic, discussions are ongoing over Veliz's future, although a transfer fee has yet to be agreed. Any deal would require the early termination of his current loan at Rosario Central, which is scheduled to run until June 2026. For a player once hailed as one of Argentina's brightest attacking prospects, this moment feels less like a crossroads and more like a quiet admission that Tottenham's gamble has not paid off. Veliz joined Spurs from Rosario Central in 2023 amid genuine optimism. Powerful, aggressive, and instinctive in the penalty area, he was viewed as a developmental striker who could grow into Premier League football with time and patience. That patience has evaporated. The 22-year-old made just 8 appearances for Tottenham, all during the 2023 to 2024 season, before injury prematurely ended his campaign. He failed to score, struggled for rhythm, and never truly looked comfortable in Ange Postecoglou's system before the club moved on. Rather than being reintegrated, Veliz was sent back to Rosario Central on loan, a move that increasingly looks less like a development step and more like an exit ramp. Since returning to Argentina in July, Veliz has scored 5 goals in 16 appearances for Rosario Central. The numbers are respectable, but not explosive. More telling than the statistics is how settled he appears. He is back with his family, back in familiar surroundings, back in a league that suits his physicality and emotional connection to the game. "I don't feel like I am here anywhere else," Veliz said during his unveiling. "I came back to be able to fulfill myself." That sentiment matters, and it tells its own story. This is not a player desperate to prove Tottenham wrong. This is a player who feels complete away from the Premier League spotlight. Veliz's profile was elevated dramatically in September 2023, when Lionel Messi singled him out as one of Argentina's most exciting young talents. "Watching him play reminds me of what Suarez used to play like," Messi said at the time. "I am very excited for the future of this country." Those words travelled fast. They created expectation, and in hindsight, they created pressure. Veliz was never equipped to carry at a club like Tottenham. Comparisons to Suarez are not compliments, they are burdens, and Veliz never came close to justifying them in England. Tottenham are now in a different phase. With the club under pressure, recruitment under scrutiny, and the wage bill carefully monitored, there is little appetite for sentiment. Veliz does not fit Thomas Frank's immediate needs. He does not fit Spurs' tactical direction. And at 22, he is no longer a project player who can be parked indefinitely. Selling him now, even at a modest fee, allows Tottenham to cut losses early, reallocate resources toward proven quality, avoid another asset stagnating on loan. From a footballing perspective, it is a clean decision. Veliz's return was partly influenced by Angel Di Maria, who himself returned to Rosario Central after Benfica's Club World Cup campaign. The two exchanged messages before the move, and Di Maria's encouragement played a role in Veliz's decision. For Veliz, football is clearly emotional before it is commercial. That's admirable, but it also explains why elite European football may never have been the right environment for him. Alejo Veliz is not a bad player. But football at the highest level is brutal, and potential means nothing without adaptation. Tottenham took a calculated risk. It didn't work. The Messi comparison will linger in headlines, but it no longer defines the situation. What defines it now is realism from the club and the player. Veliz has rediscovered happiness in Argentina. Spurs are ready to move on. Sometimes, the right decision is not about waiting longer, it's about accepting the truth sooner. This looks like one of those moments. Tottenham Hotspur are facing a defining moment in their season as pressure mounts on head coach Thomas Frank following Saturday's damaging 2-1 home defeat to West Ham. The loss, Tottenham's 3rd consecutive defeat, and their 8th in 14 matches left Spurs 14th in the Premier League, winless in 2026, and increasingly disconnected from their supporters. At full time, boos rang around Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as sections of the home crowd chanted, "You're getting sacked in the morning," underlining the growing unrest. By Sunday morning, the focus had shifted from frustration to uncertainty. Chief Executive Vinay Venkatesham arrived early at Tottenham's training ground. a move that immediately intensified speculation over Frank's future. While players and coaching staff reported for a recovery session ahead of Tuesday's Champions League clash with Borussia Dortmund, Venkatesham's presence was widely interpreted as significant. According to BBC Sport, Frank is under serious internal scrutiny, with the possibility of dismissal now actively being discussed. The report claims that at least one senior executive has raised the option of ending Frank's tenure in recent weeks. That view was echoed elsewhere. The Times reported late on Saturday night that Tottenham's hierarchy were weighing up whether to sack the 52-year-old, while the Independent suggested the board were debating whether Frank should even be allowed to take charge against Dortmund. For now, no final decision has been communicated. Frank arrived at Tottenham with a reputation as a progressive coach capable of building competitive teams with limited resources. But patience is rapidly evaporating. Spurs have won just one of their last 8 matches in all competitions. They sit 10 points above the relegation zone, but are closer to the bottom 3 than the European places. Performances have lacked consistency, intensity, and belief, and supporters are no longer prepared to excuse the slide. Saturday's defeat to West Ham was particularly damaging. Spurs dominated possession, but once again failed to control key moments, conceding goals that exposed familiar defensive vulnerabilities and an alarming lack of composure. The reaction from the stands was brutal, and Frank did not shy away from it. "Of course, I've probably had better times," he admitted post-match. "I understand I'm the man in charge, so the blame will go to me." That's fair, yet his insistence that results will turn has done little to calm the storm. "When we start winning again, which we will, it will change," Frank said. "I'm not in doubt of that. Many supporters are." Despite the noise, Tottenham have not acted immediately. Sources close to the club suggest there is no appetite for a rash decision, particularly with a Champions League fixture looming. From the players' perspective, Sunday morning was business as usual. Training went ahead as planned, preparations for Borussia Dortmund continued, and Frank arrived early to oversee the session. But this is no longer just about training schedules or match preparation. This is about trust. Tottenham's leadership must now decide whether Frank is capable of reversing the trend or whether persisting with him risks dragging the club deeper into stagnation. Even as Frank's position comes under threat, Tottenham's recruitment plans are moving forward. The club are close to completing a £13 million deal for 19-year-old Brazilian left-back Sousa from Santos. The teenager posted an emotional farewell message on Instagram, thanking the club he had represented for a decade and confirming his readiness for a new challenge. The deal is expected to be finalised shortly, further evidence that Tottenham's long-term planning is continuing regardless of uncertainty in the dugout. But transfers alone will not fix the immediate problem. Frank has pointed to injuries and a lack of attacking depth as contributing factors to Spurs' struggles. Key offensive players remain sidelined, and goals have been hard to come by. "I think you all saw the game today. We could easily have won this one," he said after the West Ham defeat. "We are down to the bare bones with players, and we also need some of the offensive players to score." Those explanations, while valid, are wearing thin. Tottenham have looked fragile mentally, slow to react when momentum shifts, and incapable of sustaining control across 90 minutes. These are not issues that can be blamed solely on injuries. Tuesday's Champions League home game against Borussia Dortmund now carries enormous weight. A positive result could buy Frank time and temporarily ease the pressure. A poor performance or defeat may push the board towards a decision they have so far resisted. Beyond that lies a league trip to Burnley, a fixture that once felt routine, but now looms as another potential flashpoint. Tottenham are running out of margin for error,